Yeah.
Okay,
Hi all,
go
good
ahead.
noon. Yeah, hi all, good noon. So disclaimer, so this presentation is for educational purpose only. Yeah, so today I will going to talk regarding the most trending sector, the solar and EV. Mid cap, it is a mid cap company named Servotech. The brief overview of the company. So the Servotech Power System Limited is a leading innovator in the energy sector, focusing on high-end solar products, efficient EV chargers, ultra-fast DC chargers, and the home AC chargers. They have so far installed over 2,400 EV chargers in India, prompting indigenous manufacturing and make in India concept. With 2 decades of legacy, they set an industrial benchmark and prioritize building long-lasting relationship with client. They harness cutting-edge technology and game-changing innovation to lead the way in a renewable energy sector. How the company started? So the Servotech, a leading company in the industry since 2004. So they started in 2004, has grown significantly with the introduction of the sine wave inverter, LED lighting solution, and the solar street light. It got first listed in 2017 in NSE. Servotech also provide oxygen concentrator and UV disinfectant at the time of the COVID-19 breakout. The company has a unique history of delivering exceptional product and services, incorporating modern method, ethic practice to contribute to society and the environment. The goal of the company is to develop and implement innovative solution to reduce energy consumption, impact on climate. 1 minute, please. Yeah. The goal is to develop and implement innovative solution to reduce energy consumption, impact on climate, aiming to achieve net zero emission and eliminate fossil fuel dependency for future generation. The mission for the company is Servotech is to revolutionize energy consumption and conservation, provide advanced solution, empowering skilled workforce, contributing to society welfare through knowledge sharing, association, collaboration, fostering a sustainable future. So this is the mission of this Servotech company. Here I list down the company milestones from where when it started till now. So in 2004, it came up with a leading edge sine wave inverter for domestic use. In 2005, they leveled up the launching digital and sine wave inverter for industrial applications. From domestic, they moved to the industrial. In 2009, considering the growth and advent of the technology, they came up with LED lighting solution for both domestic and industrial application. In 2010, following a series of groundbreaking innovation, they introduced two more product range, the solar street light and the solar hybrid inverter. In 2014, a range of product exclusively dedicated to facilitate LED solar lighting and solution. In 2017, they got a public listing and they are listed in the NSE exchange with the name of Servotech. In 2019, Servotech launched Servport, a standard plug-and-play grid interactive rooftop PV system, having a system size of 2 kilowatt power with a battery storage designed for 100% self-consumption. So Servotech is amongst the exclusive provider for this technology in India to be a mass produced for residential application, UPS and AC load. In 2020, when the breakdown of coronavirus was there, they came up with a UVC disinfection product segments, exclusively dedicated to provide seamless sanitization of area and accessories to common people. In 2021, they launch Rebreath Medical Device India Limited subsidiary to fill the supply-demand gap of oxygen-generated equipment during COVID-19. In 2022, forayed into a EV market. They entered into EV market to establish EV charging tech infrastructure across India. In 2023, Servotech expanded EV charger business in Middle East and Africa. So this is the company milestone from when they started till 2023. Recently, they launch a subsidiary. So Servotech Power System launch a subsidiary, Servo Sports. So now they enter into the Servo Sports and Entertainment Private. They aim to manage the sports sector events and promotions. So this subsidy aims to strengthen the company brand presence, empower the athletes, promote inclusivity, elevate the sporting experience, and inspire a new generation of enthusiasts, fostering a healthy sports culture and boosting India's sports economy. So this is the footprint. So if we see that almost every part of our country, India, it is covered by the Servotech. So almost 21 plus Indian state Servotech as a catalyst of nation repute, uh, complementing and strengthening the concerted effort of achieving the net zero emission ambition and providing a range of solutions to build a sustainable future. Yeah, so their product range are EV chargers, solar product, power and backup, LEDs and others. So in EV chargers, they make AC charger and DC chargers. In solar product, they are range of solar inverter, serve port, solar management units, solar batteries, solar panels, UPS. In power and backup, they have servo stabilizer, commercial and the UPS. In the LED section, they have domestic and the commercial, and in others, as in the time of the COVID, so they come up with the two more product, the oxygen concentrator and the UVC. So this is the leadership over there. It is the founder and the managing director is the Mr. Raman Bhatia, and the others are the full-time and the independent directors. Regarding the financial parameters, Servotech, the market cap it is the small cap, so market cap is 2,500 crores, close to 2,500 crores. Current price it is trading at 111 rupees. Stock P is 219. It's slightly above the industrial P of 60. So ROE for 3 years is 12.22%. Return over the 3 years is 3x, is 300%. And the price to book value is 18.8. And sales growth for the last 3 years is 52%. Pledge percent is 0. Debt to equity ratio is less than 1. Regarding the operating profit, so if we see from March 2020 onwards, so the operating profit is increasing. So it was 2020 was 4, then it's become 5. In 2022 it's become 9. It become double in 2023, and in March it is 20. Net profit also is increasing. So if we see here from March 2021 it was 1, then in 22 it become 4, and in the March 2023 is 11. And March 2024 is 11. Shareholding pattern. So promoters, so previously promoters were holding 70%. So when FIN pitch in, In the March 2023, so FI bought 10% of there, and in March 2024, the FI reduced their percentage share to 2.5, and the public holding got increased. In June 2024, recently, FI increased its share again to double from 2.5, they become 5.5% their share. If we see the weekly chart, we see a technical breakout at this point. For monthly chart also, it is showing a technical breakout. Here year chart, I kept it just to give the some info, right, like that in, if we see in year 2021, so if we see the company has given a return of almost 3x. From 2, the value of the share reached 7. In year 2022, from the 8 it goes till 16, so 2x return they have given in year 2022. In year 2023, the price increased from 15 to 76, so almost 5x return they have given it. So if we see the history of last 3-4 years, it is giving a more than 1x return in that year. So this is the spot analysis for the company Servotech. The strength of the company is the company has a consistently high return over 5 years with a strong momentum and increasing net cash flow. It has improved net profit and annual net profits with zero promoter pledge and increased shareholding from institute. As we see in that FI increased its share recently. Weakness, the company PE is higher, as I mentioned, it's almost 4x of the industrial PE, but its book value per share has been deteriorating over the past 2 years. So yeah, this is the weakness. Opportunity, company with upcoming results shows positive shifts in the share price, negative to positive growth in sales and profit, and a strong price momentum with RSI indication price strength. Freight, the promoter is decreasing their shareholding with a PEG greater than industrial PEG and the high PE greater than 40. Here are the some press release to give some insight how from last couple of months how what are the press release of the company. So 9th July they release a press release that they are coming with new subsidiary Servotech Sports and Entertainment. 4th July, Servotech, leading manufacturer EV chargers, solar has inaugurated Delhi first grid connected solar power. So in 4th July, they have inaugurated first grid EV power. 16th July, they have joined Bengal Pro T20 League as a franchise team owner. So they are a franchise owner of now Bengal Pro T20 League. 2nd April, Servotech innovate EV charging technology aiming to create India first fast charging interoperability solution between GB/T and CCS2 protocol, for which they file patents. So they are innovative also. They are filing patents also. They have in the recent they have filed patents for their work. 18 March 2024, the Servotech built 20 EV charging station for Nasik Municipal Corporation. 12th March, they announced that they appoint Prem Prakash as CEO and Neeraj Gupta as AVP operation for the EV infra. 7th March, the charging they have in-house component manufacturing. 1st March 2024, so they got a order. They got order of 1400 DC fast charger of 111 crores from the IOCL and other OEMs. 23rd Feb 2024, they also got order of 1500 DC fast EV charger from HPCL and OEM. The order price was 102 crores, and that involves two variants, 60 kilowatt and 120 kilowatt. 30 Jan 2024, Servotech bagged 120 crores orders of 1800 DC fast charger for the BPCL. They also have done the MOU with the college Lloyd and campus for establishing the charging for their research and excellence R&D lab over there. December 2023, they filed 2 patents for innovative EV charger technology. 22 November 2023, they bagged 2,649 AC EV charger order from BPCL. So more all of these are in their press release I kept from last couple of months. Yeah, that's all from my presentation.
Thank you, Himanshu. Yeah, guys, any questions for Himanshu?
Yeah, Punita. Hi, Himanshu. Thanks for the nice presentation. Just one thing I have. They have recently diversified to they have incorporated server sports. So when their core is into EV and renewable and green towards green revolution, why would they want to go into a sports related business, events, etc.? Any
Yeah, as per their phone calls, so they want to basically they want to this step is towards diversification expansion of the company. So they want to diversify and expansion of the company, so they are coming into this sports sector.
But it is
it is also
completely unrelated to their core business, right?
Yeah. So, but one other thing is that they also want this is also attempt to connect to wider audience base also. So that's why they came to this. First of all is that they want to diversify and do some expansion, and second is that they want to connect to the larger wide audience base.
Okay.
And also since they are now, since as we know that there is lot of emphasis on the solar mix, so lot of momentum is in the solar base. So due to that momentum, it's become like a little commodity market. So there the profitability is no longer that much. So might be they want to do diversification expansion in other domains such as sports.
Okay. Thank you.
Any details on this new venture, like why they are entering? Like they would have done some study and then, or at least they would have come up with some plan for that, right? What they expect to gain from this sports venture?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, so they are here. Yeah, so their basically plan is to strengthen the company brand presence and promote inclusivity and elevate the sporting experience, and inspire the new generation for enthusiastic. So basically, they want to make sports available to all which are not getting it like that. So they want to go to the mass.
No, so by this venture, they wanted to introduce new products in sports, or they are, you said, they are just going to take a franchisee of any sports event, or they're doing just for promotion of the brand.
So recently they are doing for the promotion event and event only, but yeah, eventually they will do that.
Okay. So any other peers, Himanshu, on the EV chargers have you studied?
Yeah, so in EV chargers, so they are the leading only.
Okay. Okay. Any other question, guys, to Himanshu?
Hi, Himanshu. Nice presentation. So once they announced the sports sector, right, then the stock took a dip for 2-3 days. I think maybe people are not happy with that, and again it shows 3 days of an uptrend. Okay, and then because of the mid stock meltdown, they are also going down. But however, do we have any idea why it still went up? Was it something like people foresee that it will perform well in the sports sector also, or any other information on that? I think this is a weekly chart, right? If you take it,
Yes.
if you open a daily chart, based on 9, they announced this sports sector.
Yes. Recently, they were having 5%, 10% like that for 3 days, 3 or 4 days, and yeah, recently there was a 5% on the Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have not much information on that, but I'm looking that might be people have taken it as a positive thing, and that's why after the announcement the price goes up for the 3 days.
Okay, so here one perspective I have for diversification in the sports. Yes, it's a bad move actually. I also feel so, but at the same time, see, cricket is watched very prominently in India. So now, if they are able to put up a tie-up with sports like cricket or some major events, I feel their visibility across the audience will increase, and government focus on solar panels as well as on the EV chargers infrastructure is also very big. So I think with that, the brand name will appear basically. So that could be one of the motive behind that, and stock prices in the recent days could have been falling as a reflection of that thought process. But prima facie, it looks like a bad move. They might have something in store. We need to figure it out maybe in the coming time on that part.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was the plan. So if you see that on the 16th April, they joined the Bengal Pro T20, the franchisee, and now they come up with the sports venture. So first they take the franchisee of this Bengal Pro T20 league, and now they are now they have taken the franchise. So might be after taking this one, they might have got some clue or something. So
Okay,
they
so another thing from my personal experience when I was in my hometown a few months back. So I was checking whether Servotech can. I tried to give some orders basically for my home for the solar panels on the rooftop basically with the battery systems. The response was quite good, and they were able to entertain. They were able to track it very properly. Follow-ups, everything was very proper. Basically, I just approached to a call center with my request. Okay, this is what I want to do, and the follow-up was very good actually. So that was on the personal side, which I experienced with Servotech in the northern part of India. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I think the Prem Prakash is also more related to the entertainment media industry. Yeah? I think might be he's actually into consumer durables also. He might be looking into sports sector, potential sports stuff.
I think it's more because of he wants sports to be used for their introduction or brand name development. I feel so personally. May not be jumping directly into sports line directly.
Okay. Thanks, Puneet.
Okay, guys, any other question? Otherwise, we can move to the next presentation. No, I think. Thanks, Himanshu, for your time and coming up with this presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Puneet. Thanks for giving me opportunity to share my view on this Servotech. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, so I will hand it over to Amar. Next is it was supposed to be given by Shivram earlier, but his father has some medical emergency, so he had opted out 2-3 days back. And Amar has pitched in to present one more stock. He grabbed this opportunity. Thanks, Amar, for this. You can take over.
Thanks, Manu. My audio is coming out clear?
Yes,
And you can see my screen, right?
correct. Yep.
Okay. So I'll directly jump into it now. The idea today, which I'm going to talk about, it's an IT software services company. When I say IT software services company, within IT software also there are like too many connotations and too many like different subgroupings. So I will, as I go into the presentation, I will talk more about it as to what are the niche areas which Mindteck is currently in, what is their expertise, and why I have chosen for this ALD3. So Mindteck, the first slide, I'm kind of trying to give it a snapshot of what the company does, what its journey has been, and like some of the key financial parameters and ratios, right? The first thing which I would like to highlight is towards the right bottom screen. If you look at it, past 1 year, the returns have been around 150+%, and 5 years it has been 879%. So almost 9x. So no mean feat that, especially at the time when IT sector is not going through a very rosy time. Frankly, the sector is kind of on the balance. It's neither kind of like running away in a tearaway bull market, and at the same time, it's not going totally down also. So it's kind of like it's a time-wise consolidation, sideways consolidation, but within that, there are pockets like where bull market is there. Mindtech currently is fortunately in that particular sweet spot. When I look at market cap of Mindtech, it is sub 1,000 crore. Currently, it is 904 crore. So it's a micro cap only. And since it's a micro cap, there is, if you look at the shareholding pattern, there will not be much of a FI and DII presence over there. My take on that is it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing, but usually in micro caps, what happens is FI and DII will have a particular mandate that within certain parameters, when all the checklists are done, then only they can buy a stock. And the absence of DI at this point of time, I take it as an opportunity. This will gives more share for retail to buy and hold for the longer term. So I'll take it as a positive. If you look at the ROC, it is currently 16.4%, and I will down the line when we look at the financial result last quarter especially, this ROC has constantly been on the uprise. ROC as well as ROE, it is constantly improving, which again is a good thing. For a almost 1,000 crore company, the debt is 2.21 crore, which is almost non-existent, which is negligible, right? That is also supported by the fact that D is 0.01. Interest coverage is 38.6, and if you look at the PEG, 0.56, which again is kind of like portends to a rosier future down the line. There is ample runway for growth. That is what I'm thinking. There are certain points like which I have highlighted here as a salient points. These are also going to be covered in the subsequent slide. So I will not run through all the points over here. But then here the idea was to highlight that it is Mindtech is already 30+ years into the industry. So surviving for 3 decades means that the major pain and the hump like with the publicly listed companies have to go through. They have done that. They have proved their wherewithal and they are here to stay. So once we have 3 decades of existence backing is there, then we just need to bet on the jockey and see what are the sector tailwinds, what is their execution, management, whether it is honest or not. If those things fall into place, then we just have to look at the numbers, and if they tell a good, they paint a rosier picture, then we go with it. That is the whole thought process, the thesis behind today's presentation. I'll move on to the next slide. So brief history, like how did Mindtech come into play? So it was established in 1991, as I said, 3 decades plus existence. And basically what has happened was some kind of like a P model kind of thing, right? Three like-minded people came into play. They thought we need to get into business, and they kind of brainstormed and thought, okay, IT revolution is happening. That is where we need to be. And 3 private equity investors, they identified the opportunity, and they started with Mindtech. That time it was not called Mindtech. Initially, it was termed as Hintron, and Hintron came into play by buying like three unique technology companies and across the globe. So right from start, the geographical diversification was in the focus. One way to look at it that way, and the second thing was the opportunity came that way. So India, the hardware and embedded software was there was a company which they purchased, and then UK there was a software design and development because Europe that point of time 1990s, if we talk about, they were big on consultancy, and in US they went with a software development staffing company. 90s and if anyone is in IT, they know that trade, right? 90 to 2000 Y2K wala movement and the staffing companies, they were minting money left and right. So that is where that also comes into the core. So these three companies, they were bought together and they kind of like it became an amalgamation of things. And over a period of time, it emerged as a one unique company of called Mindteck. Over a period of time, the management has that clear focus that wherever they see opportunities for organic and inorganic growth, if they see something is viable, they will acquire and kind of like integrate within themselves. Couple of reasons for that. First thing, like their capabilities increase. Second thing, they can offer more to the client. Data mining becomes a possibility, right? So that focus has right there from start. For example, in the last bottom of the screen, if you see, there were acquisitions in Singapore where it was a business application company. Similarly, again in US, Texas, a consulting services company. Those kind of things. This is how the thing grew. And when we look at the clientele of Mindtech, they are usually like global top 500 companies, top 100 rated by Thomson Reuters and all. That is what I'm showing on the right hand side. So there is a the client list also, if you look at it, these are blue chip companies and those are more like who and who of the industries. For example, they will have association with Microsoft, HP, they have an association with, from a client vendor perspective. Intel for IoT and all, they use the Intel platform. So that is there. Zigbee Alliance is there, which is more into the wireless communication protocols and all. I'll move on to the next slide. Here I talk about the different verticals where Mindtech has a presence in. Like I said, within software services, if we talk about software development, it can be like a typical SDLC software development lifecycle kind of company where you get a specs, you take it through the design brainstorming stage and come up with a solution, implement it, and productionize it. That is one way of looking at it, one way of doing things. There are quite a few large companies who are totally focused onto that. But now, when we look at IT sector and from the emerging trends, new technologies, they are like constantly changing, dynamic, and they are the ones which are keeping the IT services company on their feet. But at the same time, that is where the growth will also be there. So when I say new technologies and all, we all have seen how AI has kind of pervaded all the news, right? We talk about ChatGPT and various other stuff. So all consulting regarding AI and all that has become the in thing. We talk about IoT. IoT, I was expecting, being in IT, I was expecting IoT to be more prevalent and persevere from what it is today. From my point of view, I think we are still like 2-3 years behind the curve. It should have been much ahead, but then things are catching up. Simple things. At times, like if executed very well, we don't even know that this is what is the brains behind it. For example, if we look at our vehicles and all, there are many things like which we kind of now take it for granted. On the dashboard, we see our tire pressure, and if something, if a getting punctured or something, it might know like if it is open or not. All this is enabled by IT where sensors are there. So sensors are transmitting to a common console, and from there you get an actionable alert or something like that. There is miles to go ahead where it has to appear more and more like magic. But as the time goes by, it will come into play. So when I talk about the industry verticals, Mindtech is catering to medical devices company, analytical instrument company. Life science and healthcare is a big SBO for them. IoT, obviously, they are there. Now they are getting into the semiconductors more from a software services perspective, not from the fab perspective or from the hardware implementation perspective. Energy, they are there. Energy kind of like goes hand in hand with IoT, where they come up with the smart meters, how to monitor what are the dashboards and analytical things which need to be portrayed to the client and all. Same way into the storage. Storage is again like data centers. They are into a severe tailwind right now, right? Everybody is like going gaga over data centers and all. But data center, when we look at it, the storage will come into big play over there. And that is where the implementation perspective, Mindteck has a good presence over there. So if you look at it like semiconductor, data center storage as aspect of it, the IoT, these are certain sectors which are already into severe tailwinds. We are seeing like the companies within that they are kind of like in a very kind of like vertical and a straight boom kind of thing, right? And those fruits like they that will come into Mindtech also. And in fact, it will show in the numbers also down the slide when I come to the last quarter results and all, we will speak more about it. On the last side, if you like look at it, there are like certain accelerators and the architecture point like which they kind of belong into. For example, wireless routes, IoT. In IoT, they go after LoRa and Zigbee and all. This LoRa, Zigbee, they are like a wireless communication protocols and platforms. So these are like world-renowned and accepted standards. That is where Mindtech has got into alliance with those companies and all, and which kind of holds them in good stead when executing the project also, because there is a strong backbone in the background based on which they can execute their production. If you look at the service and solution, there are like different, they are going to engineering, R&D services, IT services, typical one they do, but now some of the things which are highlighted here is data center transformation, mobility is there, application development maintenance. It's a kind of run of the mill. Any IT company worth its salt, that is the bread and butter for them. So that will keep the lights burning. They will have it as a one part of thing which will keep the bring in the cash. But then the real projects, and that is where the employee motivation will also come into play, is into like AI, ML, analytics, business intelligence, those kind of things. That is where we see the focus into the smart city solutions. We see the storage aspect of it, validation, verification of the same thing, quality assurance. So it's a one-stop shop for the clients where Mindtech will go across the verticals and they will have like different capabilities, and within that they can cross-sell also. So this is a very top 40,000 feet overview of what Mindtech does, what are the various uh, sectors it is involved. Like I said, we already covered some part of the niche expertise. Within smart city solution, the base is like LoRa, Zigbee. There will be sensor and camera-based parking and all. When I say camera-based parking, again, it's a part of integrated IoT solution to the parking boards. What happens is video analytics, we look at it. There is a that's a case study for Mindtech on their website where they talk about in any parking lot, if the vehicle comes in within 30 seconds, it will be registered by, it will be captured by the video camera. The data feed will be sent to the central server, and central server recognize that the vehicle has come here and occupied a spot over there. Then that spot says within that parking lot that this slot indicates it's a full one, and all this thing it's crunched at the back end, and then with the analytics and BI reports and all. On mobile phone, you will get an alert saying if you are going to go to a particular say building or a parking area. So there are like say 300 parking spots, out of which like 280 are already done, 20 spots are there, and where it will be. Those kind of real-time live feeds are given to the end customer, and that becomes a win-win because it eases pain for one and all who are involved in that particular aspect of it. The person who is going for the parking, he gets the live feed, he knows whether he should. Before that, it used to happen, right? If it's a multi-rise kind of parking, we just kind of take our car and we are just roaming around trying to see where the parking is. Worst case scenario, Murphy law is hit after 5-10 minutes. We kind of give up and say, okay, within this building it is not there, and then we come out. It's a leads to frustration, wastage of time also. That is where IoT solutions will come into play. Medical devices, I have a separate slide. One of the offerings, I kind of focus more on it. I didn't want to, there are like storage, semiconductor, and then government, e-governments, and IT modernization. So not everyone I have tried to cater into this presentation, but medical devices I have one separate slide, so we'll cover it there. One thing, if you go through the past annual reports and investor presentations, Mindteck is very big on learning. And any IT company worth its all, they have to be, because it's a need of the hour, right? Like I said, emerging technologies, if you look at it, it's very dynamic. 3 months, 6 months, the whole game will change in terms of protocols, in terms of like the platform being used, what are the different ways of looking at things and all. So constant learning has to be there. Second thing is they kind of go into alliances with some of the deep thought leaders globally across. For example, Singapore-based Silver Best I have, which I have talked about it. So they have got into collaboration with Silver Best, and they came up with a world-class research model for optimizing building efficiencies. This is again a project which they had executed for it, and that kind of is a offshoot of that. The outcome that they have come up with a different reusable modules and all, which kind of becomes packaged with the Silver Best platform offering, and it gets kind of like given to the client. So best practices which has been working for one client, they make it a reusable module, and that is where the thought process has gone through. Atlas Online, again, Mindtech is a founding member of it. It is in collaboration with Harvard University International Development Center. So basically, it's a research hub across the globe. Means the different people across the globe will be involved in that, and they will be talking about the public policies. If we talk about it in terms, when I say public policy, simple example, if we think one area is getting constantly congested due to traffic and all, what do we do? Where are the signals to be put in? How will it is? Those projections, what if scenarios? And in a dashboard which is digestible across the different players, they get their slice of view over there. Those are the kind of things which Atlas Online will be involved in. Mindtech has been a founding member on that particular initiative. So like I said, one of the verticals I thought I will do a bit more deeper dive rather than concentrating on 6-7 different, because 6-7 then the slide becomes a bit unmanageable. But within medical device experience, if we look on the left hand side, it talks about these are all live case studies, live project executions which they have done, and some of those functionalities and those functions modules, they are proprietary for Mindtech, which are reusable across the clients and the offerings and all. So they are kind of like look at it like ultrasound. What will be the visualization software, remote patient monitoring system? So here, this kind of projects, what happens? It's a combination of like hardware plus software plus embedded coding, and then actually an analytic layer on top of that, so that the unified solution, when it is presented to the client, they just see like, okay, it's a UI thing kind of thing. This was my need. This is how the data is getting in the background. We are seeing the reports, and these reports are helping me take some action on it. So actionable insights will be provided to the end client. So those are the things which we look at it, remote patient monitoring system and all. I briefly talked about parking, like how it helps, right? There was another live project as a part of the smart city solution. And what they have done is, one of the goal course, one of the pain point was like goal course we have seen, right? It goes end on end for a long, till the eyesight goes, it's a greenery. But that greenery has to be maintained, so it has to be watered, and at that scale, people really need to know what they are doing and whether they are doing it right or not. So again, using an IoT sensors and all, what they did was they did the soil analysis, and once it is watered, like basically what kind of humidity is there, hydration is there, those kind of things, it comes onto the mobile phone directly, saying, okay, within this particular area, this is the amount of water that it needs to be watered for this much time, and this much water is needed. And all. It was a big success, and the result of that is the client is happy. It has become very cost efficient for them, and they know they are doing the right things. It is not based on a hunch call or something like that. So IoT projects will be that perspective in normal scenarios, simple things driven by sensors. Sensors will be the first that will come into play, which will capture the data. This using the communication platform and the protocols, it will be low power, low rise, short form for low range. So this long range actually. So this long range communication, how do they do? And it's in a very cost efficient manner. When I say cost efficient manner, the power usage shouldn't be high because sensors will be innumerable. When I talk about a gold force and all, probably we are talking about more than 1,000, 10,000 sensors, right? So they themselves cannot be power hungry and kind of like the solution doesn't become viable. So those are the things that needs to be kept in mind and all. We need to have a robust platform where the data from the sensors is captured. It is big data, obviously, because 10,000 sensors imaging sending data on per second. So for that, they use the Intel platform for data crunching and all. And then eventually, once that analytical layer is on top of that, it comes as a actionable insight tidbits on your mobile phone, on your laptop, on your tab. It is basically customizable however you want to do it. On the right hand side, like these are some of the live and successful case studies within the medical device experience and the healthcare industry that they have done. I'll give 1 minute, couple of seconds for you to go through that. And in the bottom part, I'm within that particular subdomain, how Mindteck is differentiating itself. It has got deep domain expertise and backed by obviously strong delivery specialists. When I say strong delivery, when we talk about IoT projects or embedded projects and all, at some point of time, the turnaround time and the iterations all becomes very crucial, right? So that is where agile, DevOps, these are the, in the technology, when we look at it, these are the way of achieving things in a very efficient manner. At the same time, not taking the eye of the quality. Quality is still the supreme. So all those things will be leveraged. That is where the strong delivery experience comes into play. Over a period of time, then they have expertise in multiple technologies. Like I said, different platforms they will work on, how to, if they are using sensors, the first thing is a gateway, which will get the data from the sensors and then pass it on to the platform. So gateways will be different kind of thing. So that is where over a period of time, they build their expertise and those pools are ready for taking on future projects. This is how it is, right? I'll move on to the next slide. In this slide, I'm talking about the global footprint right from the start. When it came into inception, it was Mindteck was formed by acquiring 3 different companies, and that was across the globe. One was in UK, one was in USA, and India. That same still goes through here. If you look on the left side, in United States now we already have around 5 locations. In Europe, we have Germany and UK. Netherlands was there before for certain point of time, but now that has been closed. Similarly, in APAC, we had Singapore, Malaysia, and Philippines is also there, but then 2024, they went consciously, they closed that division. So Philippines is off the table. In Middle East, Bahrain is one of the locations. In India, Bangalore, Kolkata, and Mumbai are there, and 2 of them are the development centers, Bangalore and Kolkata. Canada is a recent addition where in 2024, where Ontario has come into play. So Canada and the United States, those numbers will be clubbed together. And right hand side, if you see, when I give the revenue metrics, when I break it across the geography, it is USA, IMEA, Europe, and APAC. So one thing which comes as a pleasant surprise is when we talk about a IT service leader or a company in India, the USP here is in India, relatively speaking, the labor is cheap, right? So what happens when we take projects from developed countries like Europe or USA? The low-hanging fruit is major of our workforce will be in India. In some of the companies, the ratio will be as high as 70%, 80% in India, 20 to 30% on-site. That is how usually the thumb rule works. But when I look at here, 52% of the revenue is coming from USA. India is just 17%, if you look here below. And then Europe and APAC are contributing to it. But then what I'm talking about is if you look at the last box over here, on-site is as high as 57%. And in 2023, it was 58%. This is a bit unheard of, saying so much prominence on the on-site. From a IT services company for Mindteck, it is good. Why? Because you have more on-site members who are servicing the client from on-site. You earn revenues in foreign currency. And obviously, when you are working in those developed countries like Europe and USA, you get better rates. The operating profit margin improves. It's all beneficial. The only thing why I kind of highlighting and kind of like harping on that point, this is not a common scenario. When we look at it, like I said, offshore should be 70-80% and on-site should be 20 or 30%. That is the ideal mix and a well-accepted mix. Here, the situations has turned. Part of the reasoning might be because of the kind of project they are executing, which is more into the like forefront of the technology, and that is why they want to be close to the client. And then when we talk about IoT projects and some of those other hardware storage and other things, their life cycle will be not very high in the sense that quick turnaround, 3 to 6 months project, get it done and move on to the next project. So that might be necessitating that. But eventually it's a win-win for Mindtech because like I said, if your on-site presence is more, then you are going to get more revenue, more margins. So good for them. Delivery centers across, I have also given breakup. Another thing which he has kicked the norm over here is the project type if you look at it. For those persons who are not very well familiarized with the IT sector and how projects get worked on that, if I had to give 2 minute speech on that, so there are two kinds of projects. There are many, but then mostly this is the two ways they get classified. One will be time and material, another will be fixed cost. So what does fixed cost mean? Fixed cost means the client will say, okay, this is my specs and I need this outcome ABC to be done. And once you do this, you will be paid a fixed cost. That fixed cost can be, it's mutually agreed with the vendor and the client, obviously. But then the catch is it's a fixed cost. So the client says, okay, I'm going to give you $200,000 for this and you execute it. Approximately, it should be done within 3 months. Now, in 3 months, if it is not done and when there is an overrun, 4 months, 5 months, this is going to hit the IT services company who is the vendor. Why? Because they planned for 3 months to getting $200,000 as a revenue. That price is locked. The time gets extended. It's not loss of the client, it's loss of the vendor company because they still have to pay their resources and other expenses for those extended periods of time. So that is the downside of the fixed cost project. Time and material, by the name of it, it is simply says, okay, the client comes and says, I need these two outcomes, A, B, and C. We expect it to be 3 months, but we will go with time and material in the sense that it's an IT project, right? 80-90% of the time, what happens? Requirement kind of keeps getting changed. The change management eventually comes into play. During the project execution of 3 months, client will add some requirement and say, now I want D and E also. If he does that, then in time and material, everything is covered because instead of 3, if it takes 6 months, client has to pay for that 6 months. So ideally, vendor will like to have time and material project on their kitty, whereas from a client perspective, they want to have fixed cost because the client, end of the day, they are also humans. They are the project managers and business unit leaders and all that. So to their management, they also have to show cost efficiency and all. So client focus is always to have more and more of the fixed cost project. So if I look at over here, T&M is like almost as high as 95% and fixed cost project is just 5%. Whereas the industry norm is like 30-35% it will be fixed cost and then 60-65% it will be T&M. T&M is short form for the time and materials project. When I look at this again year on year or quarter also, if you look at it, 23, we had US at contributing to 58% of the revenue. It has gone down to 52%. Similarly, Europe was at a 17 and it has gone down to 15%. But this is very well in sync with how the global noise has been, how the global macro has been. There has been war going on between Russia and Ukraine now almost for 2+ years now. People are not coming outright and saying that, but then Europe and US not to that extent, but Europe definitely are in some sort of a recession, where because of that recession, because of the rate cuts and all, what they're trying to do is they are trying to be more prudent, more stringent. When I say more prudent and more stringent, then from a client perspective, they are trying to pull out the budget. Some of the projects, instead of executing now, okay, we will kind of delay it by 2-3 months. This project will prioritize it low. After 6 months, we'll again see. So when we look at that with the global noise, these projects are definitely coming down. It has taken a hit, and that is reflected in the numbers also. Both US and Europe are slightly they are taking a hit. But in spite of that, if I look at 52% and 15%, 16% as a standalone numbers from the Europe and USA, I think that is a very good number, and that kind of like speaks volumes about the Mindteck management, how their strategy has been, how they are maneuvering this tough economical times and all. It's a credit to them. I'll move on to the next slide now. Here, what I'm trying to do is try to last quarterly result. So quarter on quarter comparison, Q4 23 is a Q4 24 ka, and then the year-wise comparison, FY 24 versus FY 23. Couple of things which we'll like to highlight. In spite of like IT sector kind of being in a doldrum, they are not really in a tearaway hurry. They are doing a consolidation, or they are actually subdued. But if you look at it, on the revenue side, quarter on quarter, it is like 10.3% increase in revenue. On the year on year, it is 14.5%. And profit after tax, if you look at it, quarter on quarter, it is 20% almost. And on the year on year, it is 31%. These are like excellent numbers. If in tough times where everything is against you, right? The global scene is not good. The developed countries where your major clients are there, they are kind of going into the recession. That interest hike rate is a fear. In spite of all these headwinds, all these challenges, if a company is performing within a quarter or so, the end of the day, it's a catch-22 for the clients in developed countries, right? When the time becomes tougher, like I said, the initial reaction is to pull off their hand, tighten their purse, and say, we will be prudent and we will not spend much. But end of the day, that is their business, and that business needs to survive. And if it needs to be survived, the project needs to get executed, especially in this new brave digital world where everything is kind of getting digitized. One cannot escape the IT efforts. IT effort, it becomes a backbone. It's a business enabler. And if you are looking for a business enabler, then in tough times, you are going to look for a partner who is going to be very cost efficient for you. And if you are looking for a cost efficient partner, from an IT perspective, at least I will say India will always be at the forefront. So those projects will start coming over whenever the initial pain period is kind of like done through. That is where we are looking for. Right now, times are tough. In those tough times, these are the results which the company is giving. That becomes amazing, frankly. On the first slide, I kind of mentioned that the D is 0.01 for a 1,000 crore company. It was just 2 crore or something which was at debt. Last year, it was 6 crore. So there is a conscious effort from the management to bring down the debt. And that debt is kind of brought down. It's an IT company, right? The cash flow is always be there. It is also reflected in the numbers. If you look at the expenses and especially to the finance cost, it's come down by 24% quarter on quarter and 12% year on year. This is a focus. They want to be debt free. Another year means 2 crore is nothing, but when I look from a 1,000 crore company perspective, that would go down and it will become debt free. That is again a feather in cap for the management. They have a cool head, they are maneuvering correctly, and good times are just around the corner. When the sector kind of turns around, they get the tailwind. This one should do good. In the first slide itself, I already showed you 1 year and 5 year returns. It is already doing good. 5 years, if it is almost a 9x, it is in serious tailwinds and stage 2 kind of. I expect that momentum to continue. This being a micro cap, it becomes that much easier to track and progress with them also, like how things are getting executed on the ground. Are the numbers in sync with whatever thesis is? If it is, that is the time to bet big on that. I'll move on to the next slide. So question is why now? When there are certain sectors, right? Last 2 years, if you look at it, if I talk about the 1/7 tailwind, be it like railway, be it your PSUs, power, renewable energy, there is no stopping there. They are just running away. But then there are certain sectors which are screaming by when you look from a fundamental valuation perspective. For example, if I look at private banks, they're doing everything good. They are doing the execution. Everything is good. Everybody expects them to do good, but they are not performing at the same level. Then there are certain sectors which are severely into headwinds. Chemical sector has been in the doldrums for the past 2.5 years. IT, it's neither here nor there. In the sense, if I look at past 2 years, there will be one quarter or two, suddenly people will start seeing green shoots, will start kind of like buying. It kind of spurts, but then it comes back to it's a mean reversal. It comes back to its fair valuation kind of thing. So IT, when I look at the other sectors which are in the bull run right now, relatively speaking, IT hasn't done anything. Private banks haven't done anything. Chemicals, too, they are kind of a lost cause right now. So chemicals, I think it still might be 2 quarters or 3 quarters away. But IT, every quarter something happens. We see some of the mid cap companies, micro cap, small cap companies kind of coming with terrific results. Last week, Newgen came with again a very good results. So when we look at that, IT sectors, they are showing signs of recovering back their mojo. They are waiting for that tailwind to hit them. Once that tailwind hits them, the stocks are going to fly more than the large cap. It will be the mid caps and small caps that will be part of that. On that scenario, if you latch onto a company which is kind of like having execution on their side, management is good. They are very prudent, and that they have like operating in niche technology where they are always in demand. Those are the triggers which I'm talking about. So here, first point, if we look at it, 3 new international markets in 24. Canada, Ontario was one which you talked about it, and within US also one more location was added. So basically what has happened, the global footprint almost by 20% it is increasing. This all kind of augurs well because it flows directly to the top line and the bottom line. I talked about the IT sector kind of like it is not very down, but at the same time it is not participating so aggressively in the bull run also. There are various reasons, supply chain disruption there, workforce dynamics is there, macroeconomic because of the war and other stuff, and then Europe, USA having their own challenges on the financial front. In spite of all those reasons, all those headwinds, Mindteck has been exhibiting a resilient growth. It has almost grown in 2024, 15% in revenue. If you look at it, I don't know if this is visible to you guys or not. So it is now almost 392 crores in 2024. Before which it was like 341, from 341 to 392. So almost 15% growth in revenue, which in this adverse times is amazing. Third point, we look at it, they have added 8 new clients last quarter alone, Jan to March quarter I'm talking about, and then 37 new engagement. Across those 8 clients, they have got 37 new engagement projects ongoing. So these are all things which are pointing to the fact that there is demand for what services Mindteck is offering. Clients are looking for viable solutions, cost-effective solutions, and that is where Mindteck is getting its share. It's reaping its benefit. You see this large box on the bottom side. It talks about the ROC. It is constantly on the up for the last 5 years, and it has been highest 15.43 quarter on quarter. It has almost gone to 16% now. Why? Because we saw on-site presence is more, and that kind of directly contributes to keep the operating profit margins higher. So these are the conditions, these are the triggers which I talk about. And then there is an increased adoption of AI, automation is there, and then data security and compliance. Since it's a regulation thing, it's mandated by the government, the companies can't escape it. And this is a security, right? Their business is open if this is not taken care of. From that way also, they have to spend on data security and compliance. And that is a vertical which is again booming in Mindteck right now. Leveraging strategic partnership, they have established That's a typo there. It should have been 2024. Establish 5 new partnership in 2024. What happens when they get into this strategic partnership? That service capabilities also increase. Why? Because they are working on some new modules. Say, for example, they had never worked on say radio module, how to get it into a gateway via data from sensor to gateway to the server, and from server the analytics layer. Over the execution of the project also, there will be experts who will know what they are doing, but then the rest of the team kind of builds that capability. And that is how for the next project, they are ready and these people can be deployed on those live projects. So few examples, Malaysian firm, it is specializing in Android development for radio products. That is the one. And then designing and developing a data acquisition model for Singapore University. So this is at the forefront where it has always been a focus. Mindteck kind of goes with those thought leaders. It goes into collaboration with clients who are into the working on the cutting edge technology, and then they execute the project and all. Semiconductors, data storage, again, they are having severe tailwinds. That is where like Mindteck is has built its competency in those verticals too. Now that we have talked about the triggers, in the next slide, we'll talk about the antithesis, risk. What are the risks? Risks, some of these are very typical, which is true to any IT company, right? Intense competition. When I say intense competition, it is not just from like geographically fixed that कि इंडिया में अगर आईटी कंपनी है तो इंडियन डोमेस्टिक सेक्टर से ही उसको कंपटीशन मिलता है. Yes, that's a cutthroat competition. Forget about India, Hyderabad, Pune और Bangalore में competition हो रहा है कि which resources will go where, who will be offered what, and who can post those resources. So competition is there. But then the bigger trend which we are now seeing is some of the bigger organizations from USA, Europe and all, they are trying to set up their development center in India only. These are called global in-house captives, GICs in short form. This is a trend which is kind of catching up. Think from this perspective that Mindteck today has like say 50 clients. तो 50 क्लाइंट के पास में अगर वो एक साल में they are getting say like I'm just throwing arbitrary numbers over here now, 900 crore का अगर उनको ये आ रहा है रेवेन्यू आ रहा है, और उसमें से अगर 5 क्लाइंट ने भी आके जीआईसी बना दिया मतलब वो क्लाइंट they come to India and they form their own captive units and they start executing projects from them. That is a directly hit for the Mindteck, right? So that is a severe risk which might play out in the next 3 to 5 years. But to be fair, this GIC has been a risk for the past almost a decade now. And there have been many companies which have successfully kind of opened up their GICs. If I talk about Fidelity, which is the biggest mutual fund broker in US and now, it has a GIC in Hyderabad and Bangalore, one working unit in Mumbai also. Yes, it's happening, but at the same time, the work is so much there, the demand is so much there that GIC, in spite of like hiring in thousands, it is not good enough to fulfill all the demands. So demand is always that, demand is skyrocketing. I have mentioned it as a risk. Yes, it can play out, but then that fear has been there for the past decade and we have survived the onslaught. That is the message which I'm trying to give over there. Related to the first point, intense competition. Second is global IT skill shortage. Why more so? Because like I said, there is a typical SDLC cycle, software development life cycle kind of projects, where you kind of say, this is the way I approach. I'll use my PMP wala funda, project management funda, execute the project and deliver. But then there are projects which are at the cutting edge technology, something which is new. People are learning on it. DevOps is at the forefront, where you want to crunch the time, where you do want to use agile, you want to do an iterative development, so that you cut down on the time of the project and all. As we go down that technology skills wala slope, it's a very slippery slope. As you go ahead, the skilled resources, they become scarce. जो है उनका फिर डिमांड बहुत हो जाता है because it's a simple supply demand, right? Industry needs 1,000 people, but only there are 100. So then those 100 people, so they will demand. And because there is a competition from client, from the domestic competitors and all, supply demand, if it is skewed, then that person who has the skills, they kind of demand what they want. And third point kind of gets linked that way. Since there is a skill shortage, the high skill people are in demand, then there will be an high attrition rate also because there will be poaching and the highest payer will get the best resources, those kind of things. How, what does Mindteck do then? How this threat has been there for almost from Y2K, from year 2000, right? We are in 2024, almost 25 years have been done. It has not hit that drastically. Why? Because people and companies, they will find solution. If there are high skilled resources who are in demand and attrition is a risk, then they will do a collaborative learning modules पे focus ज़्यादा होगा. People will training and development. They will spend more on that. They will ensure that a bigger set of the resources kind of go through the trainings which is required. If they need 10 people, they will train 100 people so that they don't take the hit directly. That is one way of looking at it. Then second is employee motivation. Attrition को कम करना है. One reason obviously is going to be the money, and somebody is going to throw double the money at you. Companies cannot fight that, right? So how do they mitigate that risk? They'll mitigate that risk by motivating the employee. How to motivate an employee? Humans after all, right? So different people will have different personalities and different needs. किसी को work life balance चाहिए तो वो दे दो, किसी को चाहिए कि पैसा चाहिए तो it's known to happen, right? They will be given a raise at times out of turn too. Somebody wants to be more in a power, ego is there. They want to be the project leader, project manager, and if the skills are there, train them. What happens within IT? One of the key thing is there are people who will always want to be in the technology kind of life. There are people who want to be in the management line. Problem comes in where you want to mix those. So different people will need different hats, and that is where HR will come into play. HR admin together, they need to ensure that the employees are motivated. There will be like different activities, fun Friday or something like that, or dinner once a quarter, then outing, those kind of things. I'm not saying like it's going to nip the problem in the bud. No, that's not going to happen. But it does have company, that is all the company can do, right? They can train their people, they can offer higher education, they can offer motivation in different ways and means, and assume that some people will be loyal and they will stay, those kind of things. So those are the things which the companies can do and which Mindteck is also doing. Slowing global growth, I already talked about. We saw certain example of it where revenue from USA in 1 year went off from 58 to 52%. It's a fact of life. It is accepted. We know it is there. There is no point denying it. How it can be mitigated? If the cost is going to be more, if on-site presence is more, then we can think of instead of an offshore on-site model, we can do a near-shoring thing. We can do it, call some of the resources offshore so that the cost becomes less. So these are the things, certain things which can become, which with the vendors will also play with, the client will also play it, but they both need to come to a mutual agreement so that it's a win-win for both of them. We talked about two types of project. One is a fixed price project, one is a time and material project. Now, another thing which is catching up in a big way is a outcome-based project. Client says, I need A, B, and C to be done. These are my outputs. These are my outcomes. I want it. And based on this outcome, I will pay you this. Why it is not the same as fixed price project? Because there will be certain incentive allocated to it. See, this is the outcome, and within this time frame, if you do it, this is the kind of bonus which you give to it. Again, outcome-based project is a win-win for both client as well as the vendor. Vendor gets a revenue, and they know like they can plan for that revenue and they can take it into their growth numbers and all. For client, again, it's a win-win because they have allocated certain budget for that project, and within those timelines are important here. If you hit the timelines, they can move on to the next project, right? So those are the things. See, today at this point of time, clients and vendors, if you look at it, they have kind of like they are become more of a collaborative team kind of thing, rather than being a client-vendor, strictly client and vendor relationship. The better projects are those where the client and vendor management people, they are in sync as to what we are fighting for, what we are trying to achieve, and how to best do it in the given circumstances. So that is happening. Reducing operating margin, like I said, if you are playing with getting on-site people offshore to lower the cost, or we are doing near-shoring instead of onshoring. When I say on-site, basically it means at the client place, you send your resources and they do their work. Near-shoring means instead of directly going to the client place, you go to a place which is more nearer. For example, there is a USA project which is going on. If I'm executing it from India, say Bangalore or Bombay, then I'm working as an offshore resource. But if I send my resources to USA, like Chicago, where the client is, then the person is at that vendor resource who has gone and executed the project, that's an on-site person. But there is a now new near-shoring concept where they say that in US mein to standard of living is high and all costs go very easily out of whack. So instead of sending to USA, we'll send it to Canada or Mexico, and from there they will work. Why the client will agree to that? Because those persons are more in that timeline. India or US में problem एक आता है कि at time the time difference becomes huge, almost like 10 to 12 hours, right? That becomes a hindrance. When you are doing near shoring, you are on the same timeline, give an hour or so difference, and then you execute the project. That's a win-win again. And then the cost of living in those other places, relatively speaking, is lesser, and so cost is also saved on the whole project level. So those are the things which are kind of being done. But when we do those kind of things, that is where the operating margins will take a hit. Why? Because if I'm hiring a resource in India, is working from offshore, the expense that company is bearing for that particular resource will be far less than sending it to Mexico or Canada and executing the same project. And it will be more expensive when they want to send that resource to on-site USA, that client location, and getting to work. I'm hoping that I got this point across. Last point is antithesis from compliance. Compliance is a big, it can be a big cost center for like either the client or vendor, whatever you say it is. But then the thing is, it is regulation driven, and at the same time, from a client perspective, it's their business. It's their trade secret which cannot go out. So they want to or they don't want to, they will have to spend. So that becomes one expense center. At some point of time, what happens? The regulations will come that way. For example, if I'm talking about a hospital industry, medical industry within the US, if they want to outsource certain work to India, there will be certain data and all which cannot be sent to India. They cannot be shared. The HIPAA and other thing will come into play, where by regulation you cannot outsource some part of work that has to be done on site only. So if that kind of things comes, and if there is a regulation which says, no, you cannot even divulge to your vendors, then unfortunately that project will have to be sold because you cannot argue with the regulations. If regulation are there, it's that. That I have mentioned is a risk. If it's a regulation, we cannot work around it. It's a simple black and white. Either we can work on it or we cannot work on it, but that can hit down the line. Regulations, by the way of it, definition of it, keeps on changing. And believe me, government, be it a developed country or developing country, they have a mind of their own. Sometimes they will simply come up with some stupid bureaucratic reason to stop a project. The thing is, we cannot argue with that. So that becomes a risk. I'll move on to the next slide. We talked about triggers, we talked about the antithesis. Coming to the technical analysis part of it, I have developed two charts I'll be sharing with you. First one is the monthly chart, if you look, I'm sharing with you. This is monthly candle chart with strong uptrend. Why? Because this is the parallel channel, and if you look at it, the bottom channel hasn't been breached in the past 4 years. This is somewhere like almost 4 years back, right? It's working tightly within this channel, and every time it kind of touches the channel, it bounces back. And currently, if you look at it from a long-term perspective, even in monthly chart, if I look at it, it is in a bullish. From here itself, like it is in kind of a stage 2, it is not coming, it is not breaking this strong support zone. And when I look at it, some numbers which I have put, this is just again my interpretation of the technical charts. Don't take those numbers as sacrosanct. I reserve the right to be wrong on this one. But when I look at the support, resistance and all, these are the numbers which I have come up with. I have come up with resistance. Within this channel, parallel channel, there is a central line that is the 560, which becomes my first target. And the upper channel of that parallel zone is my second target, 1300. And like I said, it is interpretation of the chart. So don't take this number sacrosanct. I will very clearly show you an example. I move to the weekly chart, my targets will change because that is what I interpret from those charts. So this is the monthly one which we saw. Now we'll move to the second part of the chart. Okay, I was a bit fast there. This is the weekly chart I'm talking about. Again, weekly chart, if you look at it, very clearly, this is what I could see. I visualize it. It's not a horizontal line, but it's a trending sloping line. But within those trending sloping line, I can clearly see it's a inverse head and shoulder pattern. So this is the head which is deep. This is the first shoulder, left shoulder, and this is the right shoulder. And inverse head and shoulder pattern, what it does, it is always a sign of a bullish reversal. Means the stock was in downtrend. This is what we are saying, either consolidation or downtrend. But when the second shoulder gets completed, it reverses and the chart becomes bullish. And this we are seeing here after here also. So what happened? The first time it broke this particular neckline. This is the neckline which is used as a reference point. The yellow one, I'm hoping that it's legible and visible to you. So first time it broke, it was a fake breakout, but it was on very high volumes. Means if you look at the volumes, it was amazing. So it just kind of like ran through the resistance, then consolidated for some time, and then it retested the support. What is support? The neckline when it comes back to. So this was the first breakout, which was fake. Here the red signs on lower volumes, albeit it retested it. Then the second breakout happened where it again broke from the trend line, and the volumes have been catching up now. Towards the end, if you see, it is above average volumes, and it is kind of going up only. So this is the weekly chart which I am looking at it. 52-week high is like around 418 or something for this chart. So when I look at it, what I did was like on the inverse head and shoulder, head का जो part था उसका मैंने price projection के लिए उसका depth लिया, वो depth को मैंने उधर same I have replicated here, and I get a target of around 660. For a stock whose all-time high is around 420 के आसपास में, 660 is already like almost 50-60% above. But that is what, like I said, my interpretation of the chart is. And above 660, it is going to be a blue sky zone where we are in uncharted territories. Depending on the execution, depending on how numbers are coming, and if it is in sync with the thesis, stock can really fly. So I'm hoping you guys are with me till now. That completes my technical analysis aspect of it. And also with that, my presentation of Mindteck. This was my thesis. Open to questions.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
What an
It's
amazing
very good.
presentation, Amash. What an
Exactly.
amazing presentation.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good,
you so
Amash.
much.
Thank you. No, I think you went pretty deep into, what the business does from healthcare to IoT and all of that. And, also a very good technical analysis. Superb, Amar. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Amar, this is Ramarao.
Yeah,
So, yeah, how do we see this? Is it a product company or a services company?
So there is a thing called PES also. So we talk about like product engineering services.
Product
right?
engineering service. So,
Yeah. So it is not a typical your run-of-the-mill services company. Run-of-the-mill services company will be more focused on application lifecycle development, software, SDLC. They will be followed. It is away from that, but at the same time, it is not fully into product company also because they have not developed their own product. But at the same time, they have developed so many reusable functionalities, modules, and the fact that they are working on the IoT and all, they have deep expertise into embedded system. They have expertise into the communication protocol. They have expertise into the gateways and how to get data from sensor to the gateway to the server. So the signs are there. Eventually, they might kind of like over a period of time, they might come up with a product of their own. For example, the smart parking meter which they have done, that solution can be easily productized, right? Because they have the expertise, they have implemented it already. They know what are the sensors to be used, what are the communication protocols to be used. But that jump has not been made. So right now they are still a software services company only, but into embedded systems, into IoT and all. So they are different from a regular run-of-the-mill software services company.
So this is
Amar, Saurabh here. Great
Saurabh.
presentation, yaar. Loved it.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I have two questions, yaar. One is, which are the peer companies which operate in similar space? That will help me better understand the business. Any idea?
Right now, see, any IT services company which has got scale, they
Huh.
will be into this kind of things. I
Okay.
worked for a small company in Pune. I was the CTO there in Tata Metro. We were
Okay.
working in IoT. We were working on parking solutions and all. I was
Okay.
a 50 person company. So that is at a very मतलब वो micro cap भी नहीं है, SME है वो वैसे. So when I talk about the biggies, they will always have those verticals with them. So almost everyone will be here. But then here the unique thing is their concentration is more on like those kind of projects, PS projects, IoT projects. Now semiconductor space में जा रहे हैं, वहाँ पे भी वो लोग कुछ कर रहे हैं, remote monitoring कर रहे हैं. So those are the things where still in India, I think they have got an edge because working on the gateways, communication protocols, and kind of integrating it to the point where you can generate actionable insights, that whole story stitch करने को time लगता है. There are players, no doubt about it. Any of the big companies, if you talk about it, like Wipro, Infosys, even the mid-cap companies like Emphasis, Happy Mind, and all, they will be in those verticals and all. But then what
Okay.
happens here? You have your relationship with the client. One of the clients, 30-year company है Mindteck, वो client उनके साथ 19 साल से है और अभी तक गया नहीं. When you work with a client for 19 years, वो तो उनको कैप्टिव समझ के चल रहा है अब वो जाएगा भी नहीं. Because over a
Okay.
period of time, that bonding happens and that workforce, they would to pick certain resources. नहीं भाई ये project में मुझे तुम्हारा ये resource ही चाहिए. It will go to that level also, right? And when you have that kind of familiarity level, it's good for Mindtech also because it's a captive client now. He is not going to look for other vendors. So it's a
Okay.
win-win.
But any large client that they have where you think this can happen and it can lead to multifold jump in volumes or business?
No, that is not happening. No, like I said, 9x अगर तुम्हारा stock अगर price गया है तो पीछे तुम्हारे revenues भी ऐसे गए, right? पिछले 5 साल में देखोगे तो last quarter में मेरा अगर देखेगा तो almost 15% revenue jump है.
Okay.
So these revenues are coming in. They are at the forefront of the technology, and in the industry they have a name now. Why? One is because of the recognition client knows them. Second thing, they are getting into alliances with the knowledge leaders. जो domain knowledge होता है ना, तो सिंगापुर यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ they are working very closely.
Okay.
हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ कर रहे हैं. तो this is where like they will publish technical papers and all. They are always at the forefront. So their name recall will be there. On
Okay.
top of that, now that semiconductor has started getting in tailwinds and all,
Okay.
they are last 2 years, if you look in their LinkedIn and all, they are attending all the. अभी recently कैलिफोर्निया में मई में उन्होंने जाके सेमिकॉन का एक ये symposium attend किया 3 दिन का.
Okay.
When you go there, when you book a stall over there, what happens is people know about the capabilities and those kind of like very niche area and focus kind of symposiums ना, वहाँ पे semiconductor में काम करने वाली companies ही आएंगे. And when they know कि okay, we have this Mindtech as an option who is from India, cost effective, and these are their case studies, ये उन्होंने किया है,
Okay.
immediately एक name recall रहता है and then the project starts flowing.
Okay, great.
I'm not
Thank
saying
you.
it is going to be that easy, but that is the trend it will follow.
Yeah. Second quick question, because we are seeing a lot of these tailwinds in this space in India, has the company stated somewhere, someplace that we will increase focus on India?
Given a choice, they will not try to increase their workforce in India. They will try to have on-site because it is good for their margins, right? अगर client demand करता है और force करता है तो they will obviously have to comply. But given a choice, they would still like to have their resources on-site.
No, I was talking from a customer point of view. Focus more on customers in India because there is a tailwind in India.
Yeah, that
Not
will
on
happen. But then what happens ना, India में रहेगा तो most of the time either they will go with the biggest or they will have their in-house IT house.
Okay.
तो usually ऐसा हो जाता है. For example, IoT, when I look at it, तो IoT में कहाँ मतलब KPIT was one of my clients when I was with that Pune company. That time KPIT was in the doldrums. 180 200 में घूमता था. So
हाँ.
they were already at the forefront of the technology. They were very focused on the transport sector and all. But that time वो tailwinds आया नहीं था, तो nobody kind of like envisaged the growth which will come.
Okay.
अभी KPIT अपना लगा हुआ था, persistence अपना करता था, but persistence approached my Pune-based company for certain IoT project in spite of it being such a big hit. So what happens at times, if you don't get the skills, then you kind of outsource within that, and you usually go with a smaller firm so that you can dictate things and you can drive the timelines along.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thanks, sir.
Amar, Ramarao again.
Yeah, Ramarao.
Yeah, see, for the question from the previous gentleman, can we hint that Tata Technologies is also doing similar business?
Yeah, definitely.
So Tata Technologies is the one which is more or less doing the similar engineering services support and these things. So that is one. So secondly, the other thing is which you were talking that offshore revenue and onshore revenue offshore is 57% onshore and something that you're saying. No, it is unique.
47-48% India. Yes, offshore.
Unique or different or something. You were excited or specifically?
Not excited. I was surprised to see those numbers.
Because
See, what happens now? We also have to look from client perspective. Why would client outsource project to India? Because it's a cost saving for them, right?
Correct. So
cost saving hoga, that is the time it is going to outsource it. But instead of saving 100 rupees, he is saying, I will have 57% of your resources on site. So instead of saving 100 rupees, now he will say only 60 rupees. Because 40 rupees has gone getting those resources to on site, and then because of standard and living and all, they have to shell out more, right?
Yeah.
So that is what threw me off, because when I look at biggies like TCS, Wipro and all, 70% will be offshore and 25-30% will be on site.
My observation
that is the norm.
Amar, my observation here is because you have this T&M, 95% contribution from T&M. So naturally the on-site revenue should be higher side.
No. It doesn't work that way.
That is my observation.
95% as a T&M itself is an anomaly. Industry standard is 25 to 30% will be fixed price project and 60-65 will be T&M. Because client is always trying to extract the last resource.
Yeah, so this is an outlier, completely outlier in the industry that 95% is T&M.
It is unheard of number. So when I was doing research, this caught my eye. And this is definitely why the stock is doing good. Because उनका operating profit margin थोड़ा अभी sacrosanct है. Revenues बढ़ रहा है. And they have a visibility also कि demand is such high with those skilled resource that they are seeing that for certain time, in spite of all these headwinds, they are doing good. They are performing well.
Yeah, as you said, for the larger companies like TCS, Wipro, they have 70-30 kind of a share.
Yeah, roughly it will be there.
So this 95% is really an outlier, which is really.
I am doffing my hat to the management that they have a very good persuasion skills. Somehow they have managed to convince the client that T&M is the way to go. But then the second aspect of it, which I mentioned, it's not a typical SDLC project. For example, if I talk about a mainframe project or a life cycle project, they run on for like 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years also. But when I talk about IoT project and something which is related to the storage and all, those are quick turnaround projects, less than 6 months. IoT project to 3 months, maybe I can wrap it up, right? If that is the case, then being time and material makes happen, because then you are using all the tools at your disposal, be it agile technology, be it leveraging DevOps for quicker turnaround, iterative approach. So 3 महीने में खत्म करना है, तो I have to use those cutting edge technologies and all to ensure that I don't miss the deadline or the timelines. Now those are crunch timelines, so then T&M client should be okay. Fixed price कहाँ पे आता है? When you are going for really more than a year project. Frankly, अगर 1 साल का ज्यादा प्रोजेक्ट रहेगा तो आप कितना एस्टिमेट कर लोगे? 1 साल में तो there can be so many things that can go wrong, right? That is where client takes refuge कि नहीं मैं तो fixed price दूंगा, कुछ गलत होगा तो भी I am covered. But the way these guys are, the flavor of the project these guys are executing, Annual timeline that is showing in the numbers, right? 95%. That
Correct.
is amazing.
So in that other question is in the risks slide, you have mentioned GIC and comparing with the ODC risks of ODC getting replaced by GICs. So what exactly GIC is different from air gap ODC, or it is same?
ODC is Offshore Development Center, right?
There is a ODC and there is a air gap ODC also. Another concept is there. Whether are we referring air gap ODC as GIC or?
No. GIC is like separate, independent. Whole building will be clients. Client will come to India, hire resources on their payroll, and they will execute that project. So, for example, like I mentioned, Fidelity, the mutual fund, US company. It is world largest mutual fund company and 401k company. Correct? It has opened a GIC in Bangalore. So what does it do? Bangalore में है तो उसने अपना पूरा एक unit खड़ा कर दिया. It has opened its own unit. It has hired resources locally. It has sent managers from on-site who are working from India. Now that जो relationship US client और Mindteck का managers का होता था, handshake होता था, project execute होता था. Now they have taken out the vendor out of the equation and Fidelity guys are placed in India and doing the job.
Fidelity, okay.
Fidelity, I just took an example, but there are so many. Fujitsu has opened one in Pune. Fujitsu is a Japanese company, right? तो उसने अपना मतलब they have employed almost like now what 3,500 resources in the first iteration, and they are running that independently without any vendors and all.
Yeah.
So that trend, if it catches up, but then this trend has been a threat for the past decade, and it has never actually turned into a risk. Yes, it will pinch, but it is not a deal breaker.
Yeah. See, just to give an update or an additional understanding, so we also have a concept called air gap ODC. So what we say in the air gap ODC is the ODCs are fully controlled, monitored, and done by the vendor, done by the clients. So, so that's where even the security aspect, everything is taken care by the vendor, by the clients, whereas the location is in one of the India locations of the companies.
Yeah, I worked in that setup, Ramarao. So I was in Capgemini. And Fidelity itself was the client where it had opened a GIC in Bangalore. In Bombay, they had, and so they had outsourced. That time, Capgemini, they had not acquired Patni yet. So I was with Patni. I was working with Fidelity ODC. But Fidelity ODC was so strict and tight that you cannot access Patni network from Fidelity ODC.
Correct.
Now that you have to have such an alter, then expenses go up in terms of compliance. Then you have to have like security will be the focus. Then ODC में who is tailgating, incident हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है. Any kind of media which is coming in and out of ODC strictly disallowed. You cannot take mobile phones inside that ODC because it will be a proprietary material here. But then how do you tell resources that they cannot take the phone inside? आज के day and age में imagine करना भी थोड़ा tough है, but then I have gone through that. But then I was the offshore delivery manager there, and then because of the compliance perspective, I started heading the corporate security also. So all said and done, what happens? It increases the cost for the client only. Because see, managing a network within a network is too tough, no?
Yeah. So that's it from me.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Amar, for your nice presentation.
Thanks, Manu.
We'll stop it here and move to the next one by Saurabh. Saurabh, you can take the control.
Yep.
Yeah, we are able to see.
Hello?
Yes, we are able to hear you.
Okay, you can hear me and can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Saurabh. I will share my analysis of a company that I am invested in. Would really appreciate if you can go through the disclaimer. Uh, this is not a recommendation. Uh, I may exit the stock anytime. Yeah. So starting with the presentation. So why analyze this company at all? Because from 2012 to 2018, for 6-7 years this company went nowhere. It did nothing exceptional. There was no consistent sales growth, and to top it up, it was not even making profits. It was in losses. So why look at this company? So in 2021 the sales did not grow, but what changed is the company started showing profits. So from a loss of 6 crores, operating loss of 6 crores, it registered an operating profit of 11 crores. And then next year it grew the sales and the profit remained stable. But stability of profit for these 2 years indicated that those loss making days might probably be over and there's something happening in the company. And in 2023, the company just doubled the revenues. The profits declined for multiple reasons. One was uh, uh, increase in cost of raw materials, but the sales doubled in just 1 year. And then in 2024 again, they registered a 25 to 30% increase in sales, and the profit tripled. Operating profit tripled. So all these changes that were happening in the company in terms of both revenues and operating profits indicates that there was something happening in the company, and that is what got me interested. And the second thing I wanted to look at, if these changes are really sustainable, I looked at promoter shareholding. So from this time, December 20 March 23 quarter ending, which is promoter started increasing his stake, and this is this time period. So before the sales doubled, the promoter knew that he is going to register a good sales, so he started accumulating even before the result was out. And thereafter, consistently from December 22, promoter has purchased shares from the open market and increased his stake. So this confirmed that these changes are sustainable. These are not one-off. Otherwise, promoter would not have continuously increased its stake in the company. And that is why I got interested, and that is the reason I am presenting this company. The company name is Smartlink Holdings. It makes networking products under brand Digisol. Probably a lot of you might not even have heard of Digisol because it's a very, very small company. We all know D-Link, and it is also a hot stock these days, but we don't know about Digisol so much. So brief about networking. It is a process of connecting various devices, your mobiles, your laptops, your other devices, and entities to facilitate communication, data sharing, and resource sharing. So whatever internet that we use, the hard memory storage we use, the processor we use, all these have to communicate with each other, and networking devices enable that. And networking devices are again divided into two types. One is active networking, other is passive networking. Passive networking are essentially your cables that are used to connect devices, and active networking are your devices such as routers and switches and which uh, yeah. And Smartlink is one of the few companies that was the early recipient of PLI for networking products. So we have started talking about PLI only in last 2 years, but Smartlink is a company. They received PLI for networking products as early as 2021. So these are some of their products. These are all active products, active networking products. This copper cabling solutions that allows for greater bandwidth and higher data transfer speed. This is a passive product. This is a fiber to home solution cable system. So this is also a passive product. This is a switch that is an active product. So let's look at company history. So folks, this is a very tiny micro cap company with 300 crore market cap, and so therefore it becomes very essential to look at the history of the company, the promoter background. So let me take you through the company history. It's a 30-year-old company, so it has seen multiple cycles. It was founded in 1993 by Mr. Nayak. uh, Within 2 years of founding this company in 1995, he formed a JV with D-Link Taiwan. Now we all know D-Link is a huge giant based out of Taiwan in networking products, and it is one of the market leaders in India. So what D-Link does today is they import from Taiwan and distribute their products in India. But in 1995, when Smartlink formed JV with D-Link, the name of the Smartlink company itself was changed to D-Link India, and Smartlink was manufacturing networking products for D-Link. So Mr. Nayak and his company, the current Smartlink, was manufacturing these products for D-Link, and D-Link, instead of importing from Taiwan, started manufacturing here through this joint venture company and selling products under the name of brand of D-Link. So it was Mr. Nayak, the promoter of Smartlink, who helped D-Link come to India and grow in India. After working together for 14 years, they parted ways, and the name and D-Link decided to directly work in India by importing products, and the name was again changed to Smartlink. Mr. Nayak is a former president of Manufacturers Association of IT. IT is in information technology, hardware. So, and 2011, after parting ways, he sold his passive network. So he was making both active networking products and passive networking products. He sold the passive networking products business to Schneider. Now we all know Schneider for the amazing work they are doing and the stock performance. But in 2011, they sold the passive networking product business to Schneider for 500 crores. And 500 crores in 2011 was a very large amount. They had to sign a non-compete agreement for 5 years, so they could only make and sell active networking products, but not passive networking products for 5 years. What I want to highlight here and the takeaway from this slide is we need to question, does the promoter has capability? Does he has good credentials and a track record? Has he demonstrated capability to grow this kind of a business? So I leave it to you to infer from the above facts whether the promoter has capability or not. The awards. Uh, the brand name, if you can see on the top right hand side, Digisol. They sell their networking products under the brand name of Digisol, and they have received a lot of awards from 2016, 17, 18, 21, 22 for making make in India networking products. Now what I want to highlight is these awards reflect give some indication of quality and their leadership in this business. But if you focus on the left, I want you to focus on the left hand bottom side, bottom side, where what I'm trying to hint is D-Link is making in Taiwan and selling here. Will Make in India not help Smartlink? That is a question that each of us should try to attempt. This is the client list. So they have some very large clients: Indian Oil, Kolkata Metro, IIT, Hindustan Petroleum, a lot of hospitals, so on and so forth. And this is a partial client list. I will come to more clients in next few slides. Now let's talk a bit about networking industry. So my idea is here is to talk more about the company. So I'm not going to delve in deep into the industry, but I want to highlight in a few points. Ekansh Mittal, he is a very reputed uh, investor and small cap investor. So he tweeted on this industry, and I just borrowed his tweet. One segment that has experienced significant growth both in India and globally is wireless networking equipment segment. Yes, the same segment where D-Link operates. Factors contributing to growth are increasing internet penetration, mobile device adoption, enterprise networking, smart homes, and smart cities. From this IDCW LAN and LAN tracker report, they have estimated that the market size is around 1.1 billion in 2021, and it is expected to grow at a CAGR of 18.6% till 2027. So my point here is that if you come, let's look at the bottom. What I'm trying to say. Note the 18.6% CAGR. Today, lot of investors talk about sectors which grow with 6% growth rate. And those stocks and sectors are talked up. But very few are talking about this industry where we are talking about 18.6% CAGR, which is a huge projected growth rate. Today, it is not a hot theme in stock market, but the question that I want you to ask is, can it be a hot theme? Can it be a next hot theme, which will re-rate this sector? Moving on, but today everyone is looking for a hot theme. Today, it is not a hot theme. It can be, but let me also, because everyone is interested in what is hot today, let me talk about the hot theme today: data center. So these products of Digisol or Smartlink are used in data centers, and it has successfully supplied to data center of SBI, to SIFI, Control S. So these SIFI and Control S are big players in the data center industry, and they have used, they have purchased from Digisol or Smartlink. So if you look at the last quarter, it presented phenomenal results, and that is, just before those results, again the promoter came to the market and purchased stock from the market. So when post the last result, the stock ran up. It ran up close to 80 to 100% within few weeks, and the whole of social media started talking about it as a DC theme. Till now, no one was considering this as part of DC theme, and it started talking about DC theme. So I also I got more interested. But then I thought that all these components are not major supplies in terms of capex. If data center needs an investment of 100 crores or 100 rupees, this would be a very small part. So this is not worth looking at in terms of data center. But then when I thought more, I thought that currently the company's total sales is just 200 crores a year, and given the massive data center opportunity, even a small percentage or proportion of capex in data center comes to this company, it can lead to 100, 200, 300% growth in terms of sales for this company. So even though these products constitute very small part of data center capex, but the amount of phenomenal growth that is projected in data centers, if a small part, if that even that small proportion of capex comes to this company, For this company, it will be huge opportunity because its revenue, it is a very, very small company with just 200 crores turnover. So to compare with D-Link does around 1300 crores of revenues from network, mainly from networking products in India, and this company is just 1/6. The other aspect is if D-Link is making in Taiwan and supplying to India, and if these data centers, especially the government related data centers, have to use make in India products, then there are not many players who, as reputed or as experienced in terms of quality to provide to meet that requirement. So a lot of that government related make in India related networking product orders can again come to this company. Yeah, so that is a brief about data net about this company in terms of networking opportunities. One second, I want to see the chat box. So yeah, so based on this presentation so far, what do you think? Do you think it is an interesting opportunity? Please type yes or no in the chat box. Yeah, you guys are, everyone is typing yes. You guys are too easy to please.
They are all buying tomorrow.
That's not done yet. It's too easy to please.
No, yes was whether it
So,
is worth study,
no,
not for a
but
not for the representative.
let's hold on. Let's hold on our horses. Networking, though, is a big opportunity for this company. I am not interested in this company only for this reason. The company is also into electronic manufacturing. And we all know about what is happening in electronic manufacturing in India and the focus of the government. So I will not really deep dive into this opportunity size. We all know, and some other presenters in last week sessions also shared about it. So let's talk about this company, what this company is doing. So this company has a 100% owned subsidiary called Senegra EMS Limited. Uh, it is into EMS, electronic manufacturing, and ODM product manufacturing. It has a large manufacturing. I'll just read this quickly. It has a large manufacturing setup of SMT lines, soldering lines, assembly and testing lines. It manufactures all kind of products from PCB assemblies. So last week, there was a discussion that we should look at PCB assembly manufacturers. But a lot of PCB manufacturing assemblers stocks have run up and they are available at EVs or enterprise value of thousands of crores. Uh, Unlike Smartlink, they they can do motherboards, add-on cards, fiber to homes, Wi-Fi products, telecom products, mobile phones, automotive electronic products, and even the hot theme defense electronics application products. So they are saying they can do all of this, okay? But I am saying in reality, no, they are saying they do all of this, but in reality, they can do all of this, but they have not done this. They have done very little part because uh, if you look at their profit and loss statement, all of the revenues has been booked under networking products and not under this company, EMS business. Now, I am not sure because there's very limited data available. It is possible that they're booking some of these revenues in the networking company, but as far as I can see on in the P&L statement, there's no revenue booked in this. So they have the capability and the infrastructure, and they are yet to begin. So this is their capabilities in terms of EMS, PCB assembly, box build, testing, engineering services, and stuff. But this is an interesting slide. They want to do everything: aerospace, military, automotive, telecom, IoT, medical, biomedical, electric vehicle. I don't know how much they can do, but they have kind of built the infrastructure and they're trying for it. This is an important slide because this talks about their customers, past customers, and this gives me some amount of confidence. D-Link we have already talked about. They have made products for D-Link in the past. Motherboards, they have built motherboards for Gigabyte, Foxconn, Pegatron, Elite Group. I don't know about this Elite Group, and HP. But this is interesting. Demival. It says EVA products. Basically, they are referring to EV chargers. So they are also into EV chargers. So Demival is a European, I think, European client of theirs, which came to them for designing and developing EV chargers. So they say that they have capabilities in types of prototyping first and then manufacturing and scalability in supply this on a bulk scale. So they made EV chargers for this company, Demival. So my point is they are trying to do everything. They have built capabilities. They are currently not getting large revenues from this segment, but if they can crack this, then I think they can grow their EMS business alongside the networking products business. So, in summary, they are working on multiple sectors with tailwinds, four themes, four sectors, not one: networking products, data centers, EV chargers, and electronic manufacturing. It's in such a bull market. It This company is available at an enterprise value of just 170 crores. The market cap is 300 crores. They have around 130 crores of cash invested in mutual funds and other instruments. So debt-free company, no leverage, debt-free company. Promoters are ethical. So we have tried to establish the credentials and capability of the promoters, but this is another aspect that I am very keen on, the promoters being ethical. When they sold their networking business to Strider, they received around 500 crore cash. They didn't siphon, because I've been tracking this company for a long time. They didn't really siphon off the cash, which a lot of other companies of this size, small size, tend to do. They have been investing in the business and trying to grow this business. They have a proven track record. They have an infrastructure in place to meet future orders. So today, without any EMS business, they are ready with the capacity. So first new EMS orders will come. This capacity will get exhausted, and even then they have 2 times of space available at the same location for expansion. This is more of a turnaround story. Turnaround is visible in numbers, and promoters are increasing stake. But being a micro cap company, there are still concerns. It is still a micro cap company after several years of operations, which I don't like. Business growth needs to be tracked very, very closely. Uh, for a company of its size, I think it is trying to spread too thin, trying to cater to too many industries. Uh, and I don't know where the EV charger design revenues go, whether they were booked in the networking business. So this is something that I need to understand, and everyone who is looking at this company needs to understand. Uh, I tried to check their sales and ratings on online platforms. So for an Amazon, they have a good rating, just like D-Link. But look at the number of reviews on D-Link, 25,000 against just 768 on D-Link. So I think they are lacking on sales and marketing. They are not good or as aggressive as D-Link in sales and marketing, which is a shortcoming, I think. Now let's look at what is happening in the stock. So the company first time started showing good profits at similar revenues of 70-80 crores. The profits increased significantly around this time, and this is the time when the promoter also started buying before the result. And after the result, the stock shot up. This is December 21. So around from 120 levels, it went to 250 levels around. So again, it doubled in no time, 2 weeks. This is a weekly chart. And then the stock started correcting because probably the market didn't know whether these numbers are sustainable or not. And after that, the company started delivering either on profits or on revenues every quarter, and the start kept moving on. So on a weekly chart, it was in a continuous uptrend for close to 2 years. And around this time, this quarter, March 24, they delivered phenomenal um sales and profits, both sales and profits. 1 second, let me just pull up the numbers. Sorry, I cannot pull it now, but so this is where there was a huge jump in sales and profits, and this is again before the results came in. The promoter came to market to buy, and as soon as the results were out, the stock again doubled from 175 levels to around top was around 350 levels. And this time, because here in December 21 it was a one-off result. For the first time there was change, but now over last many quarters, 7-8 quarters, the company has continued to improve gradually, not significantly but gradually. So this time I think the market is believing that this performance is here to stay, and therefore, unlike December 21 when the stock again started correcting after 2 weeks of rally, this time it has formed kind of a flag pattern and then kind of broken out of the flag. And so charts look healthy, but the caveat here is because it is a very small company and it moved too fast, the stock has been put in GSM with a 2% circuit limit. So, in case the business performance deteriorates, it will become really difficult to exit the business. So, that is something that should be considered while analyzing this company. And in my view, it investment should be done only after self analysis and once you are convinced. These are just pointers, and because of the 2% circuit limit, I think allocation should not be very high. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any queries that you guys may have.
Thank you, Saurav. Only
Thanks.
question I have is they are continuously promising, and most of the time they have under-delivered. Maybe the time has changed from the last few quarters. Do you feel promoter has that habit of doing that, or it's just my perception?
See, it has. They have continuously. They have started delivering for last 7-8 quarters, and they have delivered in the past when they created a business that they were able to sell to Schneider. MNC would not acquire anything which does not which is not really good. So I think they are not bluffing, and they have never committed, in terms of that we will do this or that. They don't even pump up their stock. They don't give any announcements or per quarterly presentation something. They are not looking at pumping up the stock. I think it is at a stage where they themselves are investing.
Okay. Other
They're
thing
putting
is
their
on
money
the
where their mouth is.
correct. Other thing I have is on the EMS part. So margins in the EMS business would not be great until you're really making something kind of what GPU or those kind of stuff, right? In general, basically, which is a production level thing. But
Yeah.
EMS, PCB soldering, PCB making, it might become a commodity in the next 2-3 years. Maybe by that time it might grow to that level, but
Yeah.
that is one
I,
concern I have actually.
Yeah, I agree with you. So again, networking also they don't have great margins. But my
Yeah.
thesis is here on the volumes.
Hmm.
And for example, if it was doing a 10,000 crore business a year, I would not have been interested in this because 10,000 करने के लिए उसको double करने के लिए 10,000 crore और चाहिए. But
Hmm.
because they are doing just 200 crores, एंड आई थिंक 200 करोड़ तो एक कोई सिंगल बड़ा ऑर्डर आ जाएगा तो रेवेन्यू डबल हो जाएगा.
Okay.
So I think because on low base it becomes interesting.
Okay. So one more question we have in the chat is on the contingent liability.
I honestly have not looked at it. I need to see this here. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll have a look and come back. Who are the competitors for the company? There are a lot of foreign competitors. I will have to check the name. I don't even remember. But the bigger, more popular competitor is D-Link. But in the list of competitors, there are hardly any Indian companies who are making in India. Why did you say in the beginning that you may sell? Because of multiple reasons. Uh, One is the 2% circuit limit. I have a decent allocation in this, and if business goes bad, starts going bad, I may not get an exit. So I have a allocation which is on a higher side. So I may not sell completely, but I may exit part, and if business starts going bad, I will sell completely. Any other questions?
I think most of the questions you have answered from the chat.
Okay, great. Puneet, I hand it back to you.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
So, okay, before leaving, guys, we have a quiz pending for you. And we'll go through the quiz and then close the sessions. So I will start sharing. You can disable it. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yeah, Puneet.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I had this post session where it is. Yeah. Okay. So we go to the questions of this for today. Fastest fingers first, as usual. 2, 3. Okay, so Amar and Sujay, you have already won. You need not to participate. Let other people take that chance. So first question which is coming up is, which of the following companies serving medical field in direct or indirect way? You have to put the options in the chat. Okay, I think we can put a break before going to the next question. Somebody can write a break in the chat. Okay, so the next question is a bit tricky. A DC charger cost approximately how much rupees?
पुनीत ये ऑप्शंस कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव नहीं है. fast chargers cost more than 7 lakhs. Slow chargers cost less.
Okay, I'm going through the Servotech basically, based on whatever Servotech got the orders. Based on that, this number is coming.
4 to 7 वालों को दे देना प्लेट.
Okay, so we'll stop it here in terms of quizzes. So 3 quiz winners will get 250 rupees Amazon vouchers. 2 have already announced. Third one, I will look at the answers and see who has put it the best, fastest. Next award is the Best Presenter Award, which is having an Amazon gift voucher for 1500 rupees. So please give the feedback to the people, to the presenters. I have shared the forms earlier also. In case you have not looked at the videos, please watch it and then give the feedback. I will hold this award maybe till tomorrow maybe. I will go through all the feedback and see the ratings come out
Puneet,
with the data.
Puneet,
Yeah.
I can give you
Yes.
750 rupees back if you give me this award. आधा कर
But you
लेते
are good. We are joining free now, so let people take it. So there are a few contenders. If I would give it, maybe one from today and one from maybe last week, I could have given it. But I want to keep it one. I want it to go to the best one. So please put the feedbacks onto the forms. And one form I have put for feedback for ALD event. Please put it will not take more than 1 minute. I'm telling you, just give that feedback to me. I really want to bring these sessions much better next time. And closing notes, without you, ALD is not possible, all of you. So thanks for joining. I am grateful to all of you for this. Next ALD session possibly would be happening in November, and we'll try to come up with some different theme at that point of time. I have discussed with few of the people in this forum. So possibly in October or November, somewhere around that time, I will announce it. And it would be not bigger. It will be maybe we finish it in 1 or 2 days maximum. So we'll keep looking for that. And then let's have a blast for this. None of the shares we have shared here for buying or selling. It's only for education in terms of how we want to analyze the stock. So please don't do the blind buy anytime. Thanks. I think we are done. This is what all I have. Thanks to all the presenters and audience. We have done, I think, a good job this time. It was much more smoother as compared to the last time. So thanks to all of you for that.
Puneet, Amalia, no?
Yeah, Amarji, you are telling something.
Yeah, I'm saying November is so far away, man.
We can do early, but we need to have the people to present it. And the next team, I
If
will
not
talk to
ALD, then
you.
let's meet in a Mumbai meet face to face, at least.
Yeah, so that I will do. So one
Okay.
Mumbai meet is pending basically. I will come. Sure. So maybe we can meet in Pune this time. Maybe Pune people.
Yeah. Pune is not more than 2 hours for me, so I'm always okay.
Okay, I will check with the people and then I will come back on.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we can close. Thanks. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thank you.